Okay, tonight we have Kim McColl, and she's going to share with us her wisdom and her story, and we're so excited. So I'll let you take it away.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm super excited. Again, like Michelle said, I think one of the coolest parts about Juice Plus in general is the work we do across team lines. All of us being one big team, there just honestly couldn't be anything cooler. I mean, I started a new team member in Nashville a couple days ago and reached out to a team down there. She's already connected. I've had people reach out about DC, and we kind of adopt them, bring them under our wings. So I just feel like there's nowhere you can't support your team for that reason. You know, you don't have to be sponsoring people in your own backyard to connect them with people regionally and locally who are going to be willing to connect. So I think that's unique and extraordinary and should be shared right up front with people, because it's not normal and we're lucky to have that. But my story is a little bit different than, you know, some of the NMDs. I've been involved with the business about 5 years, and I know what it's like to move at a slower pace and then also at a fast pace. And I did have kind of an aha moment, if you will, and I'll share that with you in just a little while. But really, I think what it boils down to is, where is your mind at that time? For me, I was so drawn to Juice Plus from the beginning because of the product. As a health coach, I was looking for a tool, you know, for compliance, for lack of a better term, for my own clients, but even my family, just to get the fruits and veggies in. So I was just gung-ho about the product, about the research. I was a biology major, and I was almost consumed with my love for the product to the detriment of growing my business and my team super at the beginning. And I always share with people, from the way I pace it, I spent about my first 2 years in the business sharing and sharing and sharing the product from a very genuine place. And I acquired, for lack of a better term, a ton of customers who were all very happy customers. And then I spent about 2 years sharing the business, right? And I acquired a lot of team members. And then something just switched in my brain one day, and I started sharing the lifestyle, which to me, I used to think the Juice Plus lifestyle meant taking the capsules and drinking your shakes and eating off your tower garden. But to me, the lifestyle is doing all of those things and really dedicating a period of time, no matter what that is for you, whether it's 1 week, 6 weeks, 1 year, to really all out massive action to see what it will do for your business. And as soon as I did that and started sharing the lifestyle, I went from SSC to NMD in a 3.5 month period. So the beginning of month 4, I had hit NMD. We turned around and made 24 Club. 2 months after that, I should be at, and that was just this last fall, we should be at 39 by the end of this month, if not next month. We're shooting for 50 by fall conference. We'll see. But a little bit about what changed is, I was like a product of the product those first few years. So I just attracted a lot of customers, acquired a lot of customers, right? And I always feel like once I started sharing the lifestyle, I was inspiring people instead of acquiring them, if that makes sense. They were looking at it a little bit. I was no longer sharing the research, right? I was sharing my personal experiences of health, healing, transformation of myself and close personal friends and family. I started sharing my why a lot more. But the big shift happened for me, which is why I love, Michelle, your idea for Comma Club, is I became a product of the business. And until I was a product of the business, I couldn't share it with that same kind of genuine enthusiasm because I wasn't yet making a substantial amount, right? I wasn't making the money at that point in time that was making a huge impact on the life of my family. As soon as I put it into high gear and the income grew so substantially so quickly, I realized that the business itself is also a tool. And I thought, you know what? People need this. People need this business as much as they need this product. I've been a stay-at-home mom. My kids are 5 and 7. I've been able to grow this to NMD and beyond without having to get daycare. And people need this, you know, and I need to be able to come from a place that says, look, this can be a career, you know, and I am very respectful that everyone has their own goals, whether it's to cover the costs of their own Juice Plus or be a 6 or 7 figure earner. I want to help people do that. But I think it became obvious to me that I really needed right up front for people to understand that this could be their answer. This could be it. And what it was going to take was a little bit of time and energy and focus. And I'm sure like what your outline is for Comma Club, I'm not sure what the exact activities you have wrapped around it is, but I say to my team all the time, you know, nothing that's worth it is easy, right? It's really not. It's never going to be easy. It's simple, right? It's not rocket science. It's simple. It's talking to people you care about something you care about. But it takes time and it takes focus and it's worth it, you know? So I think the big changing point for me, March of this past year, so a little bit over a year ago, it was like a rainy, gross day in DC. I was so ready for spring. And I sat by the fire and I listened to an Eric Worre YouTube about the value of adding 20 reps to your direct to you in your organization in a 30-day period. And he talked about momentum in a way that I had never personally thought of before. And he said two things that I like spit my tea out in my cup because I was like, oh, I've said both of those things before. He said, you know, in this kind of business, slow and steady does not win the race. And I used to say that all the time, slow and steady. Or he said, you know, just not quitting doesn't get you to where you want to be. You know, you've got to put some focus on it if you're somebody that wants to build a business around it. And I say to people all the time, there's no requirement for that kind of focus because you might not want to build a business around it. And that's totally fine. You know, you can use your franchise to procure your own family and close friends Juice Plus. However, if you do, if that's you that I'm speaking to, if you're a person, and I don't think you'd be doing the Comma Club if you weren't a person that wanted to build a business, then I think that's what it takes. So he talked about momentum, and some of you may have heard his talk, but he talked about an airplane, and he was saying, you know, if you're piloting an airplane and you're kind of slow and steady down the runway, you will move forward down the runway, but eventually you'll get to the end of the runway or you'll run out of gas, right? If you want to get off the ground, you go full throttle. And he said that's what the pilot does. And it made sense to me. He said a pilot goes full throttle for a short period of time until the plane is off the ground, and then they pull back because it's never safe for anyone to go full throttle. A pilot, us in our business, all the time. But it just clicked with me. And I thought, you know what? I need to show my team what all-out massive action can produce. So I didn't even shower. I went to Staples. I bought a whiteboard that's still behind me. And I wrote on top of it, friends don't let friends go to the office when the sun is shining. You know, I commit to helping 20 people start their own Juice Plus business by Memorial Day. And I put it on Facebook. And I said, Facebook friends, keep me accountable here. This is important to me. And it's going to take a lot of work, but I want to help 20 of my friends start their own business between now and Memorial Day because they deserve it, you know? And it was crazy. I just counted up earlier because I wanted to get the number right. I started my husband in the business at that time too. But we started 54 people direct to us over it was like a 6-week period. We started 54 people direct to the two of us. And it was just, the laundry didn't get folded. Oh, well, you know, we had a little more takeout than we normally do. Oh, well, you know, it was all of these. But you know what? At the end of 4 weeks in, I was at Q, you know, 3.5, 4 weeks later, I was at NMD. So it was just, we were like, you know what, that was so worth it. And then we kind of realized we couldn't go that pace forever, but it was fun. And we were like, we can do there was a happy medium here. So the next thing I'm going to share with you is kind of that happy medium, because one of my rock stars who I should have 2 hitting NMD at fall conference. So one of those 2, I'm so excited. One of those 2, called me after last conference and she said, you know, I want to do something like a 90-day game plan, but not a 90-day game plan. I want it to be more like a 6-week period. And that way we can wrap it around the start of a month and the end of a month. And we just started kind of kicking around ideas. And at first we were going to make it a contest, and we had all these different ideas we were throwing around. And then I stopped and I said, you know what, Stacy, that's her name, Stacy Whitmer, write her name down because you'll see a lot of her. But I said, you know what, Stacy, when I went for NMD, I didn't go for it because it was a contest. I did it because I was committed to my business and making this life for my family. You know, the way she's going for her business, it's because she's committed to this mission and to her family. I said, the people that really want this, it's a commitment. It's not a contest. And I said, it's okay for not everyone to want that. But I think we start this 6-week, we ended up calling it the Super 6 Squad. I said, I think we should think about it like Navy SEALs. And I said to her, when a Navy SEAL goes through training, what they do is they either make it or they don't. They have no idea what their mission is going to be. No one's handed them a mission packet yet, right? They're just taking them through the rigors to see if they, quote, got what it takes to go on the mission, right? So we're not quite that intense over here on Team Valley Tomorrows, but the same kind of mindset. I said, we almost need to ask qualifying questions of people to figure out, you know, do you believe that this kind of commitment can yield lifelong results? And I have the 6 questions in front of me, but this is what I asked my team. I said, you know, of all of you out there, I want to know if you answered yes to all these questions. And I want you to be brutally honest, because it's okay if you didn't. So we asked, are you passionate about our mission of inspiring healthy living? Are you committed to growing your business? Do you want to be an NMD with the Juice Plus company? Because some people will say no to that. And again, that's okay. Are you ready to truly link arms with some of the strongest leaders on our team? And the last 2 are the biggest to me. Are you willing to make your business an absolute priority for the next 6 weeks? And do you believe, to me, this is the real zinger, do you truly believe that all out massive action over a short period of time will yield growth that will benefit your family forever? Okay? Because if somebody really believes that, they're going to be willing to commit to whatever mission it's going to be. And so we said to people, we do have a mission packet, but we're not giving it out until we know who's on the squad. And so we had a couple of people that said, but we need to know the mission before we know if we're in the squad. We said, no, you don't. We just need to know if these 6 things are important to you. And if they are, then you'll do the mission because these are important things to you. And it was awesome. I sent it to my upline and her upline. And in total, we had just over 100 people do it for the 6-week period. And it was a really simple like tracking document we sent out. But these were the only things. Literally, it was like a 1-page. It wasn't anything fancy. These were the 6 things that we committed to. And it was in exactly a 6-week period. And everything was 6 weeks, 6 qualifying questions, and then 6 activities. Because we wanted to build the focus around the activities that were going to get us to where we wanted to be. Okay. So number 1, at the end, any squad member had to have a minimum of 30 preferred customers. So for some people, maybe they needed no more, you know, if they'd been in the business for a while. For the people that were just starting in the business and wanted to do this, they had to add 5 customers a week for 6 weeks. So doable, you know, and they did it. And all squad members had to commit and track, because we have a pen and paper tracking sheet, which was super helpful, making 4 phone calls a day to new potential customers or team members. Not forever, but for 5 days a week for 6 weeks. Okay, so that's 120 calls times 100, because we had 100 people do it, right? All Super 6 squad members had to host 1 in-person event in the 6-week period. They also had to help anyone in their downline host an in-person event for them. They had to host 2 Facebook parties in a 6-week period. And then the last one was the one that I think blew it up wide open for our team. We all committed to adding 1 new team member a week for 6 weeks. So 1 a week for 6 weeks times 100. That was a lot of new team members. So what we did was we gave everyone an accountability partner, and we had a Voxer chat, and we gave verbiage and training every day surrounding good ways to start conversations. We had I think I had 3 calls a week during the 6-week period. Like every Tuesday night, I did a product call. Every Wednesday night, I did a call about the business. And every Thursday night was like a launch call, launching people into the business. Could I do that forever? No. It would have been it would kill me. But for 6 weeks, we could. So I just myself have had a lot of success with never taking your foot off the gas, but kind of these spurts of all out massive action and like some well-deserved a little bit, I think, downtime or just, maintaining your team and your customers and whatnot, I think is pretty effective. And I think it's extraordinarily effective when you start to do that in mass with a team. Because for those of you on Michelle's team working towards Comma Club, you likely have teams, and I think modeling that too for anyone on your team is so awesome because they see that then as the norm. And obviously having a comma in your paycheck makes it a lot easier to speak with confidence about what the business can do when you're talking about the finance piece. I think from day one, we can talk about the kind of connection that this gives you, a sense of purpose. I had a very flexible job. I was in technology sales, but I happened to have a home office before the kids were born. So it was flexible. And I honestly made really good money by most people's standards, but I didn't care. None. I didn't care at all about what I was doing. I didn't feel connected to any kind of mission. I wasn't helping anyone with anything. So I realized that it's not always about the flexibility or it's not always about the money, because I had both of those before and I left. And I started at 0, right? When you start in this business, your first pay, and I tell people all the time, look, I'm going to be honest. Your first paycheck is probably going to be like $32 and then $68 and then $108. It's a build. You've got some fast track bonuses up front, but I need you to believe me when I tell you that this can turn into 6-figure residual income for your family, and you get there by helping a whole lot of people get healthy. So I love that transparency that I can offer to new people on my team by saying, Michelle, if you ever want to share out that 100 Club thing with them, you're welcome to. I recently came up with another cadence for the people who have a qualified business to say, these are the things we do to get to 100 Club in a 15-month period. But really, I think that I say all the time, the best thing about this business is that there's no quotas. The worst thing about this business, that there's no quotas. Kind of makes it really hard when you're just left to do what you please, So I think things like Comma Club and this Super 6, and when you get a bigger grouc inside, a smaller group inside of a larger group, you look at your whole team and say you have a handful of people that are working for Comma Club or a handful of BFs that are working for SC at the same time. It just kind of creates magic. It creates some kind of solidarity and momentum that I think can't be replaced. But I think that putting measurements to all of the activity and having it be for a set period of time is so, so good, because it does take some time and energy and focus. And we're all very busy, it doesn't matter what season of life you're in. So I think when you start to put in a lot of time and energy up front and maybe the money's not there for those first couple months, it's easy for people at that point to go like, this has been a lot of work for not much money, yet. I think it's so important to help anyone joining you understand that this is not smoke and mirrors. This is an extraordinary comp plan. It works, and it doesn't just work for a handful of people. Like when I hit MD Fall Conference, there were 37 people that made it with me. It wasn't 2, So this is real. And this is happening not just all around us, but it's happening so fast right now. We see some of these newer folks starting that are like, they get up there and give their NMB speech. They're like, when I first heard about Juice Plus last Thursday, it's like, what? I'm exaggerating a hair, but I mean, really. And it's because of this, because of Zoom, it's because of Facebook and YouTube. And, I have a ton of YouTube videos out there that I always tell anyone's welcome to use them. I only had to make it once. It's no sweat off my back for people to use them, right? But my team uses them all the time. And I remember I made one, it described like the HLP, the Healthy Living Plan. And it was 5 minutes. It's called Buying Options. And I said, hey, send this to anyone considering buying the product. And it really walks them through buying as a customer, a preferred customer, or buying as a franchise owner, and what that looks like from a monetary perspective. And I just put it out there. And then not long after, it had like, it had like 2,000 views or something. And I was like, oh, that's 2,000 conversations I had. And it took me literally 5 minutes to make it in my pajamas one night. So I just think we're at the right place at the right time. You guys have an awesome team with all the Comma Club stuff happening. But for me, it was like a slow build because I was so focused on the product. The minute I shifted to really talking more about the lifestyle in general, this product and business together have given me and my family. And I made a promise to myself, right? I said, I'm going to add 20 people in the next 30 days. And once you say it out loud, there's like no going back. So that was it for me. You know, once I took a picture of the whiteboard and put it on Facebook, had to do it. So that was the secret to what we did was I just said it out loud and then I had to do it. So hopefully you found that information helpful, but what's mine is yours. Michelle, you know you're always welcome to use anything that we come out with, truly.
Thank you, Kim. So amazing. I hadn't heard all of it, your story. So I'm so grateful you shared it with us tonight. And I know it was really encouraging for me. I do have a question for you.
Yeah.
What are some of the strategies and things that you had your team do in order to get that one teammate a week for your Super 6 squad?
Okay, so that was actually when I came out with that HLP video because I met Shelly Mackey at Q School, and she was talking about how she offers a business to everyone, and it's very simple. And I, for the longest time, ignored that segment of people. I thought of people as a customer or as a builder, an NMD, a future NMD. That was it. I was like, I didn't see the in between, and I realize now that there's most 7-figure earners in this business will tell me that a lot of their team and a lot of their organization are people that are DDs or dealers or DFs that have gotten involved and that stay with the product and have a handful of people ordering from them, but it's never been in their plan to build or grow. Mm-hmm. So I thought to myself, you know what? We need to have that conversation with people, because even if they share with 1 or 2 people that I don't know, those are families I never would have spoken to because I didn't know them. So that was one of our strategies, is we really started keeping it really, really, really simple. Another one of my strategies was hosting those calls, was really trying to be like, I'll host some calls. We have a lot of recorded calls, but I think there's some value to the live stuff too, So we did a lot of that. And again, I think another one of the strategies was the old mission-driven model, that funnel. A lot of us had raving fan customers that we just hadn't talked to about the business, So it wasn't just people considering buying right then. A lot of us went back to our full customer list and said, look, I want to run something by you. Clearly this is something that means a lot to you. You've been using this product for 3 years or 4 years or what have you. I want to offer this to you. I want to offer you this opportunity. It's yours to do with what you please, but I can't go another day without at least offering you this opportunity. So that was really very effective too.
And so you would have your team send them that video that you made.
I would. And it worked really well. And yeah. And I all the time. Like at conference, I told those stories about being punked. And that's kind of how I felt with the business. Like I started listening, not for like, I'm feeling sick or my kids are picky eaters. I started listening for like, I'm so sick of my commute. And it's everywhere, right? Like it was like twice a day I heard somebody say something that made me realize they could use a change, right? Mm-hmm. So I just started having that conversation a lot more. And another thing that I got a lot of traction out of was simply saying to people, look, you're a person that I know and respect, and you know so many people, and I really want you to understand what it is that I do, because I know that you know people that would love doing this. So can I walk you through exactly what it is, what the business model is, what the income opportunity is, and you can let me know if you know anyone.
Would you do that on a phone call or would you send them a video?
No, coffee or wine. I drank a lot of coffee and a lot of wine.
What if they didn't live near you?
So if they didn't live near me, I would do it by phone.
Okay.
And almost all the time, it's like after I run it by them, they would, or just the general, the generals of the business, they would be like, you know what, there's this person, and I'm thinking, well, you could, they could also be on your team if you have any interest in this. And a lot of times they did. A couple times the people didn't, but they connected me with people who are now doing really well. But in most cases, and you know what, it's funny because some of those conversations happened a year ago, and just this past month, 2 or 3 of those people have reached out to me out of the blue.
Wow.
Because life has just happened, and now they're like, you know what, do you still have openings? That's what they all call it. Do you still have openings on your team? I'm like, yes, always. It's just interesting. And there's some people who literally know me, like who might know you well. They don't understand how this works. Like they might think that Juice Plus hired you to, go around the country in your RV spreading health. They might think that, and then I realized that not everyone understands that this is their opportunity too. And they can do like I say to people all the time, well, you can do exactly what I'm doing. I didn't have anything different than, anybody else. You can go do this just as easily as I did.
Sure. Awesome. Well, I'm going to open it up and let anyone that might have a question for you ask it now. So if you have a question, just unmute yourself. And I know Kim has lots of wisdom, so don't be shy. Anybody have a question?
Hey, Kim.
Hi, guys.
So I laugh because we were at Q School and we sat at the table multiple times together. And I remember, I don't know if I told it to Michelle or to my husband. I remember I was like, there's this girl at our table and she's just like so bold and I don't know if I can handle her. And it just humbles me because your boldness though is honestly what has gotten you to where you are. Like, I love it and it's infectious. So I wanted to hear from you from that, perspective, because I've had this conversation a lot with my teammates of like, I'm just not as outgoing as you. I'm just not as bold. Like, I'm just not as comfortable. So like, what is it that, was that always something that you have been comfortable with or if it has been something that you've always been comfortable with, how have you dealt through that with teammates that struggle with that side of things?
I think that's the most valid question ever. And I was not bold with the business for 2 years because I didn't believe in it yet. I believed in the product from day one. So I was bold about the product from day one, because to me, I always tell people my skepticism was around the product was I didn't believe that it was really fruits and veggies in a capsule, right? And I remember telling my husband, if I research it and that's what it actually is, that's like a career. I'm like, because that's what everyone needs. So I did a lot of research. I was pregnant at the time. And I was like, you know what? This is legit. That's what it is. So I can only be bold about things I believe in. And I say to my teammates all the time, I have a handful of teammates that for a year have still been saying to me, it's just expensive. I'm like, well, if you think it's expensive, you're going to come off that way. Like I personally think it's cheap for what you're getting, but that's me. And it's because I believe in it. And I think it's okay to be honest with the people you're talking to. And I feel like I say to my team members all the time, I think you've got to do the work to build your belief in both the product and the business side of things if you want to get to that level, right? Because it took me a while to get there. I didn't go to conference for a couple of years. And then I started going to boot camps and conferences and really understanding the business model. And I'm like, okay, it's not a pyramid. It's not some of the things I thought it was. And as soon as I think for me, there's a fine line. Like the second I'm comfortable, I'm bold, right? But I have to have the faith in it. And I think regardless of your personality type, the best thing anyone can do on any of our teams is build belief. And it might mean jumping on a lot of different teams' calls, because sometimes I'll plug my team into other teams' calls, because I'm like, they've just been hearing it from me for 3 years. They need to hear, person X, Y, and Z tell their story of what it's done for their family, So I think that anything anyone can do to build belief in both the product and certainly the business also is important. And I love, I see your husband sitting next to you, and there's so many husbands in the room. I think doing this business as a couple, for some reason, gives you instant credibility. And I don't know what it is about it. I think it's all because we're probably, intelligent people with families and bills and responsibilities. So they think if both of these people believe in pouring into this, then it must be, self-sustaining at a minimum. So I think, my boldness just came from my belief. So I think that the better belief people have, the more willing they are to kind of just have the conversation.
And I think what you said about going to conferences and going to regionals and boot camps is truly where you get that bigger picture and you get that belief, because you're with thousands of people and you get to hear teaching from the best, and you get to hear from corporate, and you get to see the community and the culture that our company has. And so next one's in October.
I know, it's huge. I felt like there was no one in the DC area doing Juice Plus when I started. So it felt like a small company that I was just this independent rep for, what have you. And then I went to conference and I was like, oh my gosh, this thing is huge. How have I not been to a conference before? This is way bigger than Xerox ever was, because that was career 1.0 for me. And that felt like a huge, huge company that I could really put faith in and have confidence in their products. And then when I kind of was out on my own, I didn't have that yet until I went to a conference, until I saw Julie Herbst and these people standing up there talking, Woody Comstock and Kurt Beavers. And I was like, oh my gosh, these people are amazing. And they have built, huge businesses. It's not like a side gig for them. This can be my career.
Absolutely. Well, will you share that GoPro Eric Worre video that you talked about with me? I'd like to share it with my team, and we have less than a minute, so I'm going to go ahead and end the call. But we thank you so much. You were amazing. Thanks for sharing your heart and your story and your boldness with us. I love you as a friend, and I'm so grateful for you, and I can't wait to cheer you on to 39 and 50 Club. Woo!
Good luck, guys.
Thank you. Everyone can unmute and say thanks to Kim if you want. Let me see if I can unmute everyone.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you, Kim.
Bye, y'all.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
We love you. Mwah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.